Okay. Hello, this is Nataraja with Ascended Heart Navigators and Miss Mechanism with Ascended Heart Navigators. We're talking with Andrea of MindBodySoul. Hello, Andrea.
Hello. Hi, ladies. Hi.
Thank
Hi.
you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so grateful.
I'm excited to have this conversation. So, Andrea, you are a healer, a woman's life coach, and an aerial instructor, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yes.
guide gifted goddesses to bridge mind, body, and soul through psychosomatic education and movement technology.
Yes.
Okay, so this is Ascended Heart Navigators. We have a series called the New Earth series, and we are delving into different ways that we view things as we're moving, as humanity expands consciousness. And I was really excited to talk to you because this is a realm that doesn't get discussed a lot, and I feel like it's a realm that once existed in a full knowing, but we've lost connection with this inherent part of the feminine and where women were in society. So can you tell me first to tell me a little bit about your your background, because you're a performance artist, you're a healer as well, and how did those two come together?
Oh boy. So let's take a journey back to me living in Florida. I actually have an undergraduate degree, a pre-medical undergraduate degree. So I once wanted to be a psychologist. So I started school for psychology, and then I went over to biology. And then I ended up getting an interdisciplinary studies, which is a hybrid degree in pre-med. So a combination of psychology, molecular, and microbiology. And in the process of applying for medical school, taking the medical college admissions tests, I was going through this evolution of mind, heart, and spirit, because I actually worked in emergency medicine for several years within the sick care system. And I just started to fall out of love with it. So by the time I was towards the end of my interviews with, medical schools and everything, I was just totally disillusioned by the whole system and the whole process. And I realized that I wanted to do something that was more along the natural route of healing, because I always believed that fundamentally the body has the ability to heal itself. All we have to do is to create an environment that supports that, because the natural state of the body is healing. So I went through one of my very first recreations where I had to shed off the old skin and, recreate myself and expand into this new idea of who I was. And I started to get more into movement. I had always played sports in high school and everything. And so I went and I became a personal trainer. I became a certified personal trainer. And as I was doing this, I noticed that I was primarily attracting women, and the conversations that we were having were very healing. So the story goes on where, as I was going through this major crisis, I had this spiritual awakening, which actually started with me working with my chakras. So I became a student of Judith Ann O'Day, who is, I don't know if you know her, but she has a lot of really amazing books on chakras, chakraology. And so I became a student of hers. I became a student of myself and my vehicle, and my world began to transform. And just so many things have happened for me on a spiritual level, and the way that I show up in service for my community and for the world has evolved, and it continues to evolve. So now I am a healer of multiple modalities. So I'm certified in Reiki. I do Thai massage body work. And the most recognizable thing that I do is movement with women. particularly of a sexual and sensual nature, because on my next shedding of skin, I had this Kundalini awakening that took me on a whole nother journey. And so this is where we are today. Yes. Yes. Yes.
That's one of the things that really stands out for me, like celebrating and witnessing you over the years. When I first met you, you had such a light. You warmed my soul in a time where, you know, just to be around you was very healing, you know. Wow. And I'm like, oh, this is somebody I want to celebrate and connect with. And so luckily we have social media. So I've gotten to watch this evolution. And I love the idea of, to me, like, to celebrate, you know, female healers who heal through expressive arts. And you are the perfect example of that. So how do you see yourself and like coming into that healer of healing through expressive arts? How do you see that healing the sexual identity and sexual trauma of the female persona?
How do I see it, as in the way that I serve, or on like a perspective of like seeing the world as it is now?
Ooh, both.
I
knew Meka was going to say that.
I'm probably going to start talking and like totally forget the question. I'm probably going to get to like a whole tangent, but well, I was kind of reflecting on what I wanted to share and talk about and also channel, because whenever like minds get together like this is a mastermind. So now, you know, all of these energies are coming through, this inspiration and these ideas and these concepts, which is why it's so important for us to talk. And one of the things that came up for me as I was thinking about getting prepared for this was the fact that sexuality and sensuality, as it comes to feminine embodiment, has been compartmentalized. So what I like to do is to break down those barriers of what sexual energy is and how we use it, and bringing it to the forefront of people's reality through this expression. Because I see that sexual energy is a healing art form. Sensual energy is a healing art form. Everything is energy. You know, energy can't be destroyed and it can't be created. So for me personally in my life, and the role that it's played in my life has been so powerful in transforming and transmuting. So the process of transmutation is taking pain, trauma, negative experiences, past experiences, and transforming them and bringing them into something better. It's like composting, right? And so what I have learned to do with my sexual and my sensual energy over the years is to take my trauma and to take the things that no longer serve my progress and my highest good and alchemize that into something else. So that's what's happened to me in my personal life. And so when I come and I work with women through movement and the healing modalities, it always comes back to sex and sensuality. Always. You know, there is always a need for women to be more in tune with their womb, because on a collective level, this planet, you know, feminine energy, Gaia, is transforming, you know, which I know that you ladies have like the pulse. You guys are on the pulse of this transformation, and it's just so amazing to see. And I think that one of the most critical aspects of Mother Earth and its transformation and her healing is the healing of ourselves, the healing of our wombs and our bloodlines. When we heal ourselves, we heal our bloodlines. And so that's the work that this life chose me. You know how they say, this life chose me. This life chose me. So I'm just going through my own personal journey, my own evolution, my struggles and my trials and my tribulations, and just making the most out of them through expression, which is what art is medicine. That is how that medicine flows through me. And I'm just evolving. I'm just, sometimes I have like a path that I'm on and I'm like trying to shoot for that path and stay on there. And then other times spirit is just like, girl, get your butt over here. Like, we're doing this now. Like, here, now we're talking, we're having this mastermind, so it's just it's a dance.
So I have a question. When you said that from what you've been seeing is that female sexuality has been compartmentalized, what do you mean by that?
For example, if an unconscious person or someone that doesn't have an open mind would look at me and would see me moving sexually, they would automatically assume that I'm some type of sex worker.
Okay.
People automatically equate sexual behavior, sensual expression as someone that is some kind of stigma, especially, right. Coming in from the pole world. There are a lot of debates that happen between, certain people that are like, oh, well, this is pole fitness, it's a sport. And then there are others like, this is dance, this is art, this is a movement. And there are a lot of people that don't want to recognize where it came from, which was from sex work, and I think that just history repeats itself and everything comes in cycles and spirals. So back a long, long time ago, when women where society was more accepting of women and their magical qualities and their sexual qualities, and powerful men were using and taking advantage of these qualities, because sexuality and sensuality, I feel, is often congruent with our ability to tune into our gifts, because sexual energy, the sacral chakra, is a place where creative energy comes from, right? And so the womb is a portal for death and birth. And so that's why this expression is so important. But society, because women became feared, because that's where some of the most powerful energy on the planet comes from, the woman's womb, right. And we went from a place a long, long time ago where it was exalted, and then men or society became afraid of it. So then it was covered up, which is why you have the term the veil, which is associated with a veil that what a woman wears. Also, there is the veil of consciousness that is covering our third eye. And as society cycles back, where women are sprouting through the surface and we are aligning with ourselves and we're cleansing all of these burdens that we've carried throughout the centuries, all of this awakening is beginning to happen. And society that's plugged into this lower vibration, they don't recognize what's happening. And a lot of times women, as we begin to move and we begin to express ourselves, or we feel ourselves drawn to these taboo forms of sexual expression, a lot of times we don't understand what's happening to ourselves. And so the only way to conceptualize it is by these compartments that have been placed for us to see through society. And so my rebellious nature, I love just blowing the cap off of all of that,
as well as being monetized. It's like women, women and their sexuality was powerful, and it became feared, and then it became hidden, and then it became monetized.
Right. It's just, it's crazy.
And it's monetized by the male being able to suppress the actual feminine sexual power by making it, a lucrative endeavor for himself.
Right. And, that is where the healing comes in for us as women. I always say that we have to take the power back for ourselves, because a lot of women will find themselves in a situation where all they wanted to do was express themselves. And they found themselves in a situation where they became dependent or reliant on male or some type of male system, and they fall asleep. The divine feminine energy falls asleep and then we lose track of why we got started in the first place. And life can be so hard with all of the challenges that we face, that if you're just trying to pay your bills and you're trying to live, but you know that you have this gift and it feels so right to be able to express yourself, and now I'm getting money for it, that you can get lost in a cycle.
Right.
It's very easy to become lost in a cycle if you don't have what I call a spiritual immunity. So I call a spiritual immune system is when you know that there's a particular type of behavior that you're exhibiting, or a type of environment that you're in that's not really good for you. And your spiritual immune system kicks in when you're like, okay, this is not good for me. I need to separate myself, or I need to shield myself from this environment. Like that intuitive knowing that this is not good for me and I need to do something about this. A lot of people don't have that because we're in the rat race of life.
I feel like it's so empowering to see actually the art of pole dancing coming into new communities where women haven't been in power. In our society as one, and seeing it through the way that you're using it as an empowerment. I've even seen it in Japan where I lived, coming into its own art form. And then Europe, there's been movies, and I'm seeing it come into its own art form where it can be a comfortable level of sensual expression for people. I'm getting chills saying this. There's so much shame around women's sexuality and sensuality, that this is a chance to shift, like you said, transform that energy from one thing to another. And I find that fascinating. What have you witnessed in your own experience and you're teaching others of how that shame is getting transformed into power?
Yeah, it's definitely a process. I remember, and it's so scary. Like, it is the scariest thing to, so think it was like 2017. I've been pole dancing and teaching pole since like 2013. But I remember I had like a really huge sexual awakening in like 2017. And I had a Kundalini awakening, and it was my second Kundalini awakening.
And
And
wait, so for people who don't know what a Kundalini awakening is, because I've talked to people who've had them, but it's not something that happens a lot. And can you expound on what that exactly is?
Sure.
How it happens?
So absolutely. So what a Kundalini awakening is, from my perspective, is, so we have the chakra system, which is, those are our energetic spiritual organs, which connect on a physical level to our bodies. So scientifically, you can look at these things, you can take pictures of them. If you are a healer with special capabilities, you can see them. And so what happens is, most of the trauma and the challenges that we deal with in life are related and affect one another, because our chakras are typically blocked. So for example, if you were abused as a child, this is going to create blocks in either your root chakra or your sacral chakra. And then you grow up and you have issues with feeling safe around people, issues with money, issues with your sexuality. And so what happens is, there is an energetic pathway that runs up these wheels. They're wheels and they're interconnected. They kind of look like this if you were to diagram them. And what happens is, as one opens up and the wheel begins to spin, it allows the other one to flow, and then the energy just flows up the spine, kind of like a snake, right? And so what Kundalini is this energy that sits at the base of your spine typically. And as the chakras begin to awaken, the Kundalini energy can then make its way up your chakra system, just like a snake. And so with a Kundalini awakening, that means that you have a sentient energy that is moving through your spine, through your energetic centers, and also moving any blocks that you have in those centers, which is why I always come back to the chakra work, because chakra work and chakra healing is Kundalini work. for anyone that's interested in tapping into Kundalini energy, because as you begin to move through these blocks, and why it's so traumatic most of the time, a lot of the time, or dramatic or impactful, if you have a Kundalini awakening, it's something that you'll never forget. Okay, it's unlike any other experience. So this sentient energy begins to rise up through your energetic centers, which is the Kundalini energy, and it kind of cleanses those centers. And so any residue or blocks, which are often ideologies, behavioral patterns, thought patterns that are not allowing these wheels to move, blows straight through, and it awakens those things. And if you haven't dealt with your trauma, it's kind of like you're dealing with it all at once. So a lot of times people feel like they're going crazy. A lot of times people with special gifts and abilities, they come online like that. That happened for me when I had my Kundalini awakening. Like your body, your physical body and your spiritual body have to realign itself, right? So essentially that's what Kundalini energy is. It moves through your chakra system, and it is cleansing. It is uplifting. So it makes its way up, it ascends, and it opens you.
Right. And so they have Kundalini yoga, which is working with those energy centers. But like I said, from what it's not a normal thing. So if someone were to be interested in doing Kundalini work, how would you one, and I don't want to divert too much attention, but how would one just go about learning more or practicing more?
I would say get your chakras aligned, learn about your chakras, experience your life through the lens of your chakra system, which you can do in my program. And then the Kundalini work comes after. Like I would never recommend that somebody go straight to Kundalini work unless you're ready to battle your shadows and to battle your inner demons immediately. I recommend that you just start with the chakra work first, because
I've heard people who have gotten actually kind of hurt by not preparing themselves and they're dealing with their stuff.
How does someone enter your program, Andrea?
So the program is actually going to be in August, and in order to enroll in the program, we would start by having a conversation and just talking about like where are some of these blocks and where are some of the opportunities for the healing. So it would start with a conversation first, because my tribe is very unique. So we talk about it first to see where the benefits are, and then we make that journey towards the program, which is going to be in group form starting in August.
Awesome.
You're on mute.
Seriously awesome. It sounds very powerful. I'm very excited about this. Wow.
Can you dive a little bit more into like all of your offerings, that what you would, not only this new program that you're doing, but kind of like the gamut of your offerings?
Sure. So the easiest way for a person to connect with me now would be to book a reading. So right now my life is going through a lot of shifts. My schedule is going through like weekly shifts. So I'm not grounded into a schedule where I'm able to allow readings yet, but I do offer those. So I read tarot, and I read oracle cards, and I channel messages, pretty accurate messages. So those are always fun to do. And I do one-on-one life coaching seasonally. So we have 7-week programs that I work with one-on-one with goddesses. And then also I teach aerial dance. So I teach pole, I teach on the aerial hoop, and then I also teach sensual floor work as well as sensual yoga. So I'm doing that over in Connecticut right now. And then I'm just looking for a home to be able to provide my services. So that's coming, that's in the lineup. We're making some shifts. And I will also be offering Thai massage or Thai body work, and doing that in Reiki healing, energy healing, which shamanic work, which is very powerful. I work with the crystals and everything when I do that. So that is all a work in progress. It's all on the way.
And so, and if someone is wanting to find out more, where would they, and we're not ending here, I'm just trying to get all the information packed in this one, like, where would they be finding you?
The best way to connect with me is on Instagram right now.
Okay.
That's the one thing that I'm able to be consistent with my inconsistent life, is Instagram. So if they just follow me on Instagram at Andrea MindBodySoul, that is going to be the best way to link. You know, you can message me in my inbox. I'm super friendly and responsive. And, you know, on my page, you know, you can follow me. I will follow back. And, you know, we can be a part of one another's journey and stay connected in that way. That's the best way right
Okay.
now.
Okay. Awesome. And so in your work so far, like your work with women, and when you're looking at like the because you had mentioned like suppressed sexuality, and like in what ways are women being able to, through your mind body work, because you had talked about mind body awareness and
Hmm.
working through trauma, and so if we're looking at like sexual suppressed trauma, how is the mind body awareness, how do you facilitate?
Sure. Well, usually if I'm having a conversation with a woman, you can do this in a number of ways, just through awareness, through conversation,
Okay.
and finding out like where the trauma sits in your body. A lot of times women don't even recognize that they're holding trauma in their body. So we are able to make the psychological connection with the physical connection. And this happens oftentimes through conversation, just kind of talking about it and me intuitively feeling into where it is, and also, you know, bringing attention to the energetic bodies. And also through like healing sessions, it happens like if I can read a person's body and read a person's energy and see where it's stagnant at, like I can visually see it, I can feel it sometimes and identify it in that way and help a woman work through it. And then oftentimes through a movement practice as well, like when we're moving, I find that when a woman begins to move her hips and like circle her hips a lot, a lot of things begin to come up, and she slowly begins to realize that the life that she is living is not aligned with the person that she really wants to become. She's like living in an old paradigm, and you know that often is like opening up Pandora's box, which is always fun and interesting when it happens like that.
Yes,
It's always
the good
interesting.
work.
So yeah, I've just seen it in a number of ways. Mind, body, soul. You know, I always say that if you are trying to heal yourself, or if you're trying to find balance in your life, you want to look at it. You break it down from like in like a logical standpoint. You either have some kind of mental, emotional block that you want to start working on like your belief system, how you're talking to yourself, how you're approaching life, the thought patterns that are going on in your head. Check on that. The body. The body is always telling us something. You know, you can just listen to your body. The body either wants, you know, more water or certain types of food or certain types of activity. You know, you can discover where these blocks are. And then there's the spiritual work, which is the hardest. It's the hardest, I think, because it requires that you become the quietest for that. And it is very sensitive, fine tuning of awareness to be able to perceive what it is you are attracting in your life and bring it back to a deeper level of what's going on and why. So it's very complex, but I simplify it. I've learned to simplify it.
So this is the New Earth series that we're talking about. So like you, obviously everything you've said is just beams of light and explosions of joy and epiphanies. And right in alignment with, you know, these conversations that we're just loving. So
Mhm.
New Earth is like what we're creating from ourselves, from the healing, from the awareness, from becoming aware of the belief systems and making new choices. America is one example of a place that we don't dance very much in
Mm-hmm.
in families, in celebration. It's a little bit like, electric slide at a wedding, but it's not a whole lot of like community dancing. So how do you envision all of your work as part of the residents of the new earth?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that by women awakening themselves and becoming more comfortable with the embodiment of who they are, because in a family unit, it is the woman is the earth. So a lot of times she lays the foundation for the family. And I see this all the time when I'm working with women, when they come to me and they always talk about they may have like issues with their children, with their spouses. And I always say, when you change your internal environment, then everything else changes, which is why I always focus on the women. A lot of times men ask me, well, are you going to work with men? When are you going to work with us? Da, da, da. I'm like, yes, maybe eventually, but right now, the source is the woman. So I feel that by us coming together in groups like this, it strengthens the frequency and it strengthens the vibration of the overall planet, through us increasing the vibration of our wombs. And then the family unit follows, and then the community unit follows, and then the world changes. So I always say, open up your womb, open up your heart, heal yourself. I know that I've healed ancestral trauma just from doing work on myself. And this is the magic of it. And the magic is the part that we can't see, right? We can see a lot of things on the surface, but the magic is the stuff that's going on underneath, underlying. And I think that it's a slow process, but it's most definitely a certain process. Is something that definitely is going to happen. That's why I will forever be a revolutionary. I will forever be doing this work. Like this is, it just feels so good. And yeah, I think that that's critical, because back in the day, women used to gather in circles, and I've been a part of circles of women that come together. And, when we are building together, we strengthen the frequency, we strengthen the web of the world. And like I was telling Nataraja before, the other day, I was saying that, there is actually a web on the planet that we create through our wombs, which is something that I learned from one of my spiritual mentors when I went through a life coaching program around the time I had my Kundalini awakening. There is actually a web that we create. It's like when women get together and then our periods sync up, like that type of thing. There is a web on the planet that when we come together in ceremony and conversations, that it just strengthens and it builds, and it's really, really powerful.
Right. And I especially see, like, as, like what Meka was saying, is as we're seeing, this ascension or this awakening of human consciousness, and we are now moving into a consciousness of love and compassion, being reconnected and connecting more deeply with Earth. I completely agree. I feel like women are massively pivotal to this process of being able to tap into the nurturing and compassion and love, where we have been male dominant as civilizations that have been disconnected from Earth, disconnected from women and female power, and disconnected from that nurturing womb center, where that kind of creation, where the creation of love, like there's no better place than the woman's womb, than the center of creation of love, right?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And I think that the biggest blocks I feel with the womb and on a larger scale are guilt, shame, and apathy. And women.
Apathy. Dissect that a little bit before you move on, because that's interesting. I've never heard.
Apathy is like having a neutral or like nonchalant feeling towards things, not really engaged, could kind of like almost like nihilistic, like not really
like,
wanting.
But I've never heard of like that was guilt, shame, and apathy being like
blocks.
A block. Yeah, I've never heard that before. That's interesting.
Yeah, because what happens is a lot of times if you come across like a woman that has been through a lot of trauma, and this is something that like really breaks my heart. It's when a woman has gone through a lot of trauma, especially in childhood with like her mother or her parents, and she has lived her entire life carrying these burdens and did not have the spiritual immunity to shift her mindset or to connect with the positive aspects of life or the higher meaning of life. And then she chooses to carry this in her womb, because everything is held in the womb, which is why we have so many reproductive issues. And she is not able to be compassionate with herself. She's not able to be compassionate with her children and her family. So kind of like a lack of self-compassion.
Okay.
Or a lack of that spirit or that desire to want to nurture. It's like an indifference to it. That's a huge block, because somewhere along the way in her journey, she kind of just gave up. Wow. And she's just stuck in that mental, in that emotional loop of suffering. So it's kind of like, oh, well, I don't have a care, or it doesn't make me a difference about how you as my child are faring out in this world, because I'm so busy feeling a certain type of way about myself and my traumas that I then don't have anything in my cup to be able to pour over, to give into my community, my family, or even myself. So I find that that's something that just like breaks my heart, but I've seen so much of it. And I feel like that is, mental health is just so important. Womb health is mental health, I believe.
I love that. It is, and it's true. Womb health is mental health.
That's powerful. What a statement right there. Yeah. And it's something that a lot of us have been, embarrassed even to look at, because we've been so shamed in our identity, and it's been seen as, I want to be respected, therefore I can't have any sensualness. Is that dialogue through your work is changing, of like, I am powerful, I am creative, I am sensual, and I set all these traumas free and transform them into empowerment for everyone.
I'm getting chills.
I know. It's just like it's so beautiful to because one of the reasons I started this the project of the Heart Healing album was the message that kept coming to me was, talk to the women of the world healing through expressive arts. You know what I mean? That was the statement. Like, how do I find that? And wow. Nataraja and I just starting this conversation of like, I don't know what a heart healing album looks like. Let's go explore and have great conversations and see what is happening out there. And like you said, you said why? Because when we talk, it's the mastermind talking. It's all of us coming, connecting our wombs, connecting our power, filling up, and we forget to talk.
Yeah. And I have another mind blower for you. The throat and the vagina are reflections of one another. If you think about it,
what
the maintenance for them is similar. They give and they receive. They both need to be hydrated, and there is a channel and there is a portal between the energy center of the throat and the vagina. And a lot of women with trauma don't feel comfortable with expression, and that expression is a reflection of your throat, because you communicate who you are, which is your identity, comes from your womb, you communicate that through your sense of expression, your throat chakra, right? So yeah, when we talk, we open things up for sure.
Damn.
Wow. Seriously.
Dropping bombs. I realized this like a couple of summers ago when I was like, oh my God, there's like a whole portal here. Wow.
Portals. Ah, yeah, this is
portal channel.
This is amazing. You're up in Connecticut area now, right? So
for now, yes.
For now. Great. We're all travelers. That is
life. Yeah, right.
An aspect of all of us.
Yeah.
So, and a beautiful one. And
we're
you
grid
know,
workers.
What?
Yes,
we're grid workers.
Ooh.
We're working the grid.
That's a whole nother
grid
topic. I love that topic. I love that topic. Man.
I invite all of us to stay connected on this and check in with each other. And we want you to come back as a guest, periodically, as time allows, to hear the progression of what's all happening, because it is a time of huge shifts for all of us.
Major.
Like day to day. It's not like, it's slow. Like even hundreds of years, we're going to be witnessing this shift. But there's like magic happening every day and layers opening, and it does feel, when we talk, like we're having a lot of the same conversations, we're having a lot of the same insights, and they're coming through this vehicle that we're attending to in different ways, depending on how we're interacting with the energy of the world and each other. And like I feel healing happening in my body, talking to you. And I knew it because I could feel you. And that's the beauty of Instagram, is that we are connected. This we're reminded of our connection that's always been there, regardless of technology or not. We are connected. We're one, and we are healing ourselves, which is healing each other, and it's setting all of our ancestors.
It's amazing.
Trauma,
which,
opens up.
We are birthing a new earth. That's what's happening. We're birthing.
And it's so important. Like this is in this age, because we are flipping the tide is changing on the planet as we move into this age. Even though Aquarius is a masculine sign, this is an age that is going to be led and ushered forth by the divine feminine, which is why it's going to be easier for us to be able to do this work. But first, we have to shed light on the blocks and the shadows in order for them to come to the surface. And we have to have the security within ourselves and the clarity within ourselves to be able to bring it to the surface and to show the way for ourselves and for our immediate community. And of course that branches out into the world. Like I feel like the world this is a woman's world. They always say, oh, this is a man's world. I feel like it's a woman's world. We have the power, and I have no shadow of a doubt about that, honestly.
Nice. Yes.
I'm excited for your work, and I really would love to bring you back in and really delve deeper into the conversation of like
I
sexuality.
Cannot wait.
Because this is something that you don't hear a lot about,
Right. But we're experiencing it.
And we're experiencing it, but it's hard to talk about and look at unless you're as articulate and experienced, and you have such a beautiful vision. Like it's wonderful watching someone who's like pre-med, go from like, okay, here's one aspect. Okay, I'm going to see that as the energy aspect. And you're talking about like spiritual immune systems and chakra power. And for someone, to be going through that progression as the advancement of understanding our health and well-being, is the opposite of what we're told. That, anybody that has the scientific mind that you have and the level of intelligence and education that you have normally dismisses the power of energy and this type of work, and especially the arts, how is
Yeah,
the
it's
arts
crazy.
anything medicinal or healing? It's fascinating that you have that background and that understanding and perspective and have seen what happens there. And then now you've made the progression into who you are called to being, and what you are called to serve and heal through your unique, beautiful, talent, intuition, insight, and, art, and what's coming through you, and that you're creating and cycling feels so special. And at the same time, you wake it up in all of us.
Aw,
So
thank
thank
you.
you.
That means that all of the trauma and all of the crazy fun stories and adventures and experiences and mistakes and all of that stuff and the tripping over myself was all worth it.
It's always worth it.
I mean, let me just tell you, I've taken the scenic route through life. Let's just put it that way. It's been a trip. Oh my
Accuracy.
God.
Wow. And what light worker would take an easy path anyway? Because that's,
I know.
I think that we're called here as souls. This is nothing that I have, any evidence for other than feeling and conversation. But I think we choose to come into our individual expression and talents and purpose because we're going to do the work and get messy and dirty. And the brighter the soul, sometimes we have to do the messiest work.
Oh God, that's so true.
Crazy. That's what I always say. If you're a light worker, then you're comfortable in the shadows. You're very comfortable with the shadows. And if you know, you know.
And I think that, I never understood why I was a light worker doing like rock and metal music, a place that's it's very masculine and very angry and aggressive. And I think it's because I do have that scope of power and the voice and energy and presence to shine a light in even places that are typically don't have nurturing female healing energy. And I feel that that's my unique calling, therefore, because of that. So, strange to have someone sing about, empowerment and manifestation and healing in metal, but, we make it work. And I don't exclusively do metal. And obviously the Heart Healing album may or may not have rock or metal, but I don't know yet because it's being created as we're talking.
Yeah. And I love it. Like, I remember when I met you and going and watching you perform. And at the time you were going by Meka shamanism. And I was like, and it's really interesting because I had just started studying shamanism. So I was like, whoa, she's a shaman? She's like a metal shaman? This is so cool. And the way that you just embodied yourself and you were on stage serving up your medicine in large, powerful, radiant heaps. I was like, this is dope. Like, I've never seen or heard of anything like this before. And everything is just for a reason, because it's like we are just lights on this grid that just found each other. And we've just kept this connection throughout the years. I'm just so grateful that we were able to stay in touch because you've been so integral on my journey. Like that moment when I came and saw you perform, and I was thinking about, performing and movement as a dance and as a healing, you awakened something in me, and it gave me permission. It gave me permission to be unique and to step off of the beaten path and to heal in my own unique way. Like, it is just incredible how it all just comes full circle. It's totally incredible.
That's everything. And that's exactly, I think, why all of us do what we do, is because if we don't talk about any of this, other women don't know that they can. And like you said, it is about the women right now. And it's not because there's anything wrong with men. It's that you have to raise up and empower the women back to, the state that they belong and their confidence and joy to heal all of us and to improve all of us. All, men actually don't realize that they'll be more powerful the more women are healed and stepping into their power.
Right.
And the more they feel their own feminine energy as well. I love seeing men that are comfortable with their feminine energy, like that are that have a curiosity about their feminine energy, and they're integral, which is why I would not consider myself to be a feminist, although I'm all about women. I feel that, you know, men are an integral part of this healing. And I learned a while ago that the relationship that divine masculine and divine feminine has is that a man that is comfortable with honoring the space that a woman is in sets the foundation for a woman to be able to explore herself. And when they both are able to explore the divine feminine, then these channels and these pathways are able to be opened up. And the expansion for the male and the feminine as a unit totally reaches new levels. It's integral. It's the goddess and the explorer, which I learned from one of my mentors. It's the goddess and the explorer. The explorer is supposed to penetrate the goddess, the womb, and to help her penetrate herself so that she can become awakened and awaken herself and the planet and her surrounding environment. It's a hand-in-hand operation. And this is a true story. This is how I had my second Kundalini awakening, guys, through sacred divine masculine energy without physical penetration. Powerful experience. Like it's so important.
Wow. To have healthy experiences that are safe to
and sacred. Right.
And sacred.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Ooh, turn it sacred. Yeah, yeah, we do.
We need to decompartmentalize the role of sex. We really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And allowing it to be sacred. And I think once it has permission to be sacred again, and that's what, you know, you're doing, and I'm, you know, witnessing that, I think turning something that has been degraded into something sacred, that in and of itself is going to be so revolutionary and healing and, you know, enlightening for all of us, that we can be sacred beings, you know?
Yeah. It's amazing. And I remember when I first had this glimpse of who I was becoming, it scared the bejeebus out of me. I was like, what? How am I supposed to become that person? And my whole system shut down. Like, you know, when you go through that dark night of the soul and it's like, what? I'm supposed to be that. And then like, you just totally disconnect because you're like, as I am right now, I'm totally unequipped to become that person. And there was this moment of like, how do I get there? How do I become that? Like, I feel like I need to, can I just delete everything that's happened up to this point and then just jump into that new skin? But it's like, no, you have to slowly let the skin shed off as you slowly expand. It doesn't happen overnight, you know? And yeah, we need support systems for these processes.
Well said.
Yeah.
Thank you for being one of those support systems.
Thank you for your work in seeing this from such a higher perspective of this is not about, dancing, and it's not about like movement, but this is actually has a much stronger, implications for like the energy of the planet and where women and women's empowerment is going to move forward in the future. So I really appreciate having this conversation, and I really would love to be able to have you back on maybe when closer to the time of the launch of your program.
Yes,
absolutely.
Talk a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that would be amazing. So amazing. Perfect. I'm so grateful to just be able to express and to talk and to vibrate and to expand with you ladies. It's been amazing.
Thank Andrea! You very much for your time. Yeah. And we'll be adding some of your information as we post the video, and it's on our website as well as centeredheartnavigators.com. We have all of our podcasts there, as long as links to healers. So we'll be linking to you so that people can find you and follow you and connect if they're in Connecticut.
That would be amazing. Or close to New York. I'm not too far away from New York.
Oh, nice. Good point. We forget how interconnected that area is. When I tour up there, it's like, an hour to the next show. Oh,
yeah.
And then like North Dakota, it's like 16 hours to the next show. So it's hilarious.
It's a small world.
Thank you both, Meka. Thank you for introducing the lovely Andrea of MindBodySoul. Thank you for your work.
Awesome.
And we'll be talking with you again soon.
Thank you, Nataraja.
Thank you,
Thank
ladies,
you, Andrea.
so much.
We'll
Have a
talk soon.
wonderful day. Take care. We'll talk
Thank
soon.
you. Bye.
I love you. Bye.
Love you too. Bye.